Hello everybody. Today's my topic is Deen-E-Elahi. Akbar was well known both in the history of Muslim India and the contemporary world as the most liberal exponent of religious tolerance. His broad-mindedness, rational outlook, and statesman like insight induced him to follow a policy that can ensure religious peace in the country. By nature, he was pious and liberal minded. He was never dogmatic in his outlook. In fact, he was in search of truth throughout his life. That is why he passed on from one religion to the other until he became a secularist by the promulgation of Deen-E-Elahi by him. Factors that influence Akbar's religious policy. Several factors exerted great influence in molding the religious policy of Akbar. He inherited from his parents the great qualities of head and heart. If his fast, he was a Sunni, his mother was a Shia, and his guardian Baram Khan was a Shia. Thus, he was brought up in a mixed sectarian atmosphere. Secondly, he was influenced by the liberal teachings of him tutor Abul Latif. Due to his liberal teachings, Akbar put an end to the enslaving of war prisoners, forcible conversion of Hindus into Islam, and abolished the pilgrim tax and jizya tax on the Hindus. Above all, Akbar learned the idea of universal peace from Abdul Latif. His association with the Sufi scholars like Abul Fazl and Faizi also had a great impact on him. His Rajput wives and courtiers roused in him an interest in Hindu religion and culture. The Bhakti movement of Hinduism, characterized by the love and the Bhakti movement of Hinduism, characterized by love and liberalism, and M- Madhavi and Roshani movements of Islam also has a great effect on him. He aimed at founding a national state supported by the national religion. He wanted to unite the people of different religion, sects of his vast empire into one harmonious whole. His vision was united India both politically and culturally. His aim was to render honor to God, peace to the people, and security to the empire. Evolution of Akbar's religious policy on the events that led to the promulgation of Deen-E-Elahi. Orthodox Sunni. Until 1575, Akbar was an Orthodox Sunni. As a Sunni, he visited the tombs of saints like the tombs of Chisti at Ajmer and attended on holy men. Founding of Ibadat Khana. In 1565, he came into contact with the view of Sheikh Mubarak and his two sons, Faizi and Abdul Fazl. On the suggestion of Abul Fazl, he built Ibadat Khana, the house of worship, at his new capital, Fatehpur Sikri, for holding religious and philosophical discussions. Religious discussions. At first, the religious debates at Ibadat Khana was confined only to the Muslims, the Sunnis and the Shias. The Mahdavis and Sufis attended Ibadat Khana and held divergent doctrines. Soon the discussions degenerated into vulgar, rancour, and morbid orthodoxy personal attacks. The antagonism of the sects reached such a pitch that they would call one another fools and heretics. The mutual quarrels of the Muslims and the failure of Islamic teachers to answer him on the spiritual matters led him to drift away from Islam. Therefore, he invited the exponents of other religions like Hinduism, Jainism, Zoroastrianism, and Christianity to the Ibadat Khana. The decree of 1579. When the ulemas failed to convince him, he wanted to free his state from their undue influence and control and to command undivided loyalty of his subjects. Therefore, on the advice of Abul Fazl, he removed the high priest at Fatehpur Sikri and read the khutbah himself in June 1579. In September 1579, he used a degree and became the supreme head both in spiritual and temporal matters. Then, this was not an infallibility degree, as Smith wrongly called it. Akbar did not become the Pope as well as the Emperor as the Smith thought. Akbar introduced his degree only to make himself supreme in his empire and not to assume spiritual leadership. Influence of the other religions on Akbar. In search of truth, Akbar started religious discussions at Ibadat Khana with the teachers of different faiths. First one is At first, he consulted Shia scholars like Hakim Abdul Fateh and Mullah Muhammad Yazdi and Sufi scholars like Safezi and Mirza Suleiman, but their teachings did not satisfy him. Next, he contacted with the Hindu scholars like Purushottama and Devi. He adopted many Hindus' beliefs such as the transmigration of soul and the doctrine of karma. Further, he celebrated the Hindu festivals like Rakhi Bandhan, Dasera, Diwali, Holi, and even put tilak on his forehead. Due to the influence of Jainism, Hara Vijayashuri Chand Rasuri, he gave up meat eating and hunting and prohibited the killing of animals. In acquaintance with Dastur, Meherji Rana, the greatest Zoroastrian priest of the age, Akbar began to show reverence to the sun, fire, and the light. Finally, he invited the Portuguese father of Goa to know the truth of the Christianity too. Due to their influence, he allowed them not only to build churches and dispatch reverence to Jesus, Mary, and apostles, such as Akbar discovered that no religion was completely complacent and there is truth in every religion. Therefore, he thought of giving a new religion that can include the best element by all the religions based upon rationalism and nationalism. Deen-E-Elahi 18 1582. At last, in 1582, he summoned a general council of learned men and promulgated Deen-E-Elahi, divine faith, or Tawhid-e-Ilahi, that means divine monotheism. This new religion comprised the best elements of all the religions and was based upon the principles of universal toleration and freedom of worship. Abul Fazl was the high priest of this new faith. Principles of Deen-e-Elahi. These are the seven principles of Deen-e-Elahi. First one is unity of God. Second one is sacrifice of one's own property, life, honor, and religion for the sake of the emperor. Third one is prohibition of meat eating. Fourth one is arranging of the dinner on one's birthday to all the members. Fifth one is utterance of Allahu Akbar, etc. Sixth one is universal tolerance. Seventh one is universal brotherhood. In fact, it was a socio-religious order or brotherhood designed to cement diverse communities in the land. Then the last one is the disappearance of Deen-e-Ilahi. As a firm believer in the policy of universal toleration, Akbar did not propagate his new faith like Buddhism by Ashoka. Hence, his faith did not make any progress. In all, there was only 18 converts into it, including him. Birbal was the only Hindu that joined in it. So, Deen-e-Ilahi died with Akbar. Criticism Criticism of Deen-e-Ilahi. The miserable failure of Deen-e-Ilahi led some scholars, special Smith, to pass a harsh criticism. According to V.S. Smith, a divine faith was a monument of Akbar's folly, not of his wisdom. The whole scheme was the outcome of the ridiculous vanity and monstrous growth of unrestrained autocracy. The, the remarks of the Smith were unwarranted and unjustified whenever he considered the noble aims for which Deen-e-Ilahi was founded. The noble aim of Akbar was a grand synthesis of all the varying creeds and ideals essentially national. His sole aim was one nation, one goal, and one culture. It is one of the creations which assure him for all the time the prominent place among the benefactors of humanity. In fact, Deen-e-Ilahi was not the outcome of his vanity, but a wise idea for ending all the religious animosities. Thus, he reveals his wisdom, greatness, and broad-mindedness. Thank you.